I thank the senator.
Senator from Massachusetts.
This debate is really about some pretty simple, fundamental principles. Keystone is a Canadian export line. That's what the oil is going to do. It's going to travel from the dirtiest tar sands fields in Canada through a pipeline like a straw through the United States, down to the Gulf of Mexico, and then exported out of the United States of America. How do I know this? I know it because in the House of Representatives, I made the amendment on the floor of the House of Representatives saying this oil stays in America. You know who opposed it? The American Petroleum Institute and the Canadian government. This is a Canadian Keystone export pipeline. We take all the environmental risks. This oil goes out of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, we still import approximately the same amount of oil in 2014 as we imported in 1975 when we put the ban on exportation of oil on the books. We're still exporting young men and women overseas into the Middle East to protect tankers coming into our country. And we're going to build a pipeline for the Canadians down to the Gulf of Mexico so they can use us as a straw to send it down and then export it out of our country? Where's the American angle on this? I keep hearing it's about American security, about American energy security. Do you want to know what this is about? I'll tell you what it is all about. The Canadian companies want to make more money. They want to take the oil from Canada, bring it down through the United States, bring it to the Gulf of Mexico, and then send it to Europe and Latin America and China. Why? Because they will pay more for this oil than the United States will pay for this oil. They make billions of extra dollars once they can get it on a ship, because the price for world oil is set at a price which is called Brent, but it's the global price. Well, in the United States, because of fracking, because of our rise in domestic energy production, and because of our dramatic increase in fuel economy standards, we're producing more oil and consuming less simultaneously, and the price of oil at the gasoline pump for people who use home heating oil as a way of heating their home, it's going down dramatically. And what does that translate into? Well, every time the price of a barrel of oil goes down just 1 cent at the pump, it's $1 billion into the pockets of the American consumer. $1 billion. So from July of 2008 until today, it's dropped from $4.11 to $2.88 at the pump. And Americans all across America, they're not afraid to go into a gasoline station right now in fear that they're going to be tipped upside down and have money shaked out of their pockets, because they can pay at $2.88 and it's dropping. If we keep that Canadian oil in the United States, that price is going to drop even more, because we will have to import even less than we do now from the Middle East. That helps consumers. That helps our economy. That should be the plan. Not taking all these environmental risks and not getting the economic benefits, because the lower the price is, the greater the economic activity in our country. Manufacturers start to say, I'll build my plant here. The price of energy is much lower. There's much greater economic activity because people have more money in their pockets to buy other American products other than oil. And they buy them in their neighborhoods. They buy them in their communities. That's what this should be all about. What is this debate not about? I mean, decidedly not about. It's not about solar. It's not about wind. It's not about energy efficiency. It should be, if we are going to debate an energy future for our country, it should not be oil above all. It should be all of the above. And so right now, what we're hearing from the other side is that they just might not support the extension of the wind tax break, even as wind has now created 80,000 new jobs in the American economy. They're not talking about extending the solar tax break for another 5 years, which they should be. That's created 142,000 new jobs in the American economy. And I'll tell you why. Because this is an agenda to make sure that the oil industry gets what they want on the one hand, and they can starve the competitors on the other. Wind and solar, energy efficiency. Senator Shaheen, Senator Portman, they had a bill for energy efficiency. It has been dying here on the floor of the United States Senate for the last 2 years. What's its biggest problem? I'll tell you what it is. It creates 190,000 new jobs in energy efficiency, which would reduce the need to use fossil fuels to generate the same amount of electricity, because the single wisest way to consume energy is to not consume it in the first place, so you don't have to take the money out of your pockets. That's energy efficiency. That's working smarter, not harder. Shaheen Portman, dead. Republicans kill it. The wind tax break, dead. The solar tax break, not going to be extended. Well, if we're going to have a debate in our country, if we're going to talk about job creation, if we're going to have something that really deals with the future of our country, let's put solar and wind and energy efficiency and biomass and geothermal, let's bring them all out here. Let's have a big debate, not just something that helps the Canadians use America as a conduit, as a straw to get their oil out of our country so they can make an extra $5 or $10 or $15 every barrel they sign. You don't have to go to Harvard Business School to see this business plan on a 3x5 card. You get it out of America, you make 10 or 15 bucks more per barrel. Simple. Okay? No thinking required here. What's in it for us? The dirtiest oil in the world goes through the United States, so Canadians, their oil companies can make money? Makes no sense. Not if America is generating hundreds of thousands of new jobs with wind and solar, and those tax breaks for those industries are on the table to be killed. We should be trying to use this as a debate about the big issues. Yes, reducing greenhouse gases, but it's job creation and it's national security. If that oil stayed in America, this Canadian oil, if wind and solar, biomass, geothermal, they were given the incentives, we can tell those Arab nations we don't need their oil any more than we need their sand. That's what we should be talking about out here. That plan. That's not what we're talking about, however. We're talking about something that's very narrow, creates jobs only in the short run. Once the pipeline's built, it takes almost a handful of employees to run that pipeline. Rather than how do you create the permanent jobs in wind and solar, the permanent jobs in energy efficiency, the permanent jobs in solar panel manufacturing. How do you possibly expect the American people to think that this institution is serious if we're not going to be having that kind of a debate? So, ladies and gentlemen, don't kill the production tax credit. Don't kill the solar tax breaks in 2 years. Let's have the big discussion about where America's going. Let's do it in a way that has a comprehensive plan which is ultimately put together. So I say to you right now, do not build this Canadian Keystone export pipeline. Don't build it until we have the debate, which this country expects. Young people in campuses all across this country, they expect a debate on wind and solar. They expect a debate on using technology. We're the brain country. We're the technology country. We're the country that can invent our way into this new world, into reducing greenhouse gases, into breaking our dependence upon imported oil. That's who we are as a nation. We put a man on the moon in 8 years. We got challenged. We did it. We invented new metals. We invented new propulsion systems. We did it in 8 years. We're the can-do nation. The new technologies are what young people want us to be looking at. We're not doing that here today. We're just helping the Canadians take oil and send it right out of our country. And if they would accept an amendment to say that this oil stays here in America, that would change the debate a little bit. If they were willing to add wind and solar tax breaks and efficiency incentives, that would change the debate. But they're not going to do that. May I ask for 1 additional minute? I thank you. And by the way, I just served over in the House of Representatives in the last 4 years when the Tea Party took over the House of Representatives. What did they do on an ongoing basis? Cut incentives for renewables, cut the energy efficiency budget, kept passing bills which stripped the Environmental Protection Agency of its ability to regulate pollution or its ability to increase the fuel economy standards, not just for cars, but for boats and for planes. That's not the direction our country should go in. So I urge a no on this bill. And I also want to say at the same time, I have the highest respect for Senator Landrieu. She is a passionate and dedicated and articulate force fighting for her state and fighting for her beliefs. And I just want to say there's no one in this entire institution who I respect more than her and her passionate belief in the cause which she is championing out here on the Senate floor. But at the same time, I respectfully urge a no vote on the Keystone Pipeline.
President.
Senator from California.
Mr. President,